Greetings everybody, so here, welcome to an episode of ARMA 3, playing the Laws of War campaign, and I'm pretty sure that's how I'm gonna do it, like, play the Orchestral Hub, basically like watch flashbacks and whatnot, and then, play the like mission per se, and like combine it into a single episode. I think that should be like alright. And so far, I like that the more humane side, like the smaller scale of this campaign.
Oh, by the way, while you were busy chatting to, well, whoever that is that isn't your wife...
I told you, Andy, she's a journalist. Get to the point.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I assembled the demining drones.
Both of them?
Well, yeah. They're by the van.
All right, got the terminal.
Cool. So just connect it to a drone and, yeah, take control.
You got it?
Looking good.
So, you're gonna want to use the auto hover mode. Switch it on whenever you need to stay in one place.
Auto hover, right.
I'll arm the explosives once you've reached the minefield. Heads up. Enabling charges. Okay, now, the bombs. You only got 4. Release one and it'll drop straight down. Simple physics. If you run out, fly over to the van. There's plenty spare.
Thanks.
Having fun there?
Making things go boom, you know it. These demining charges pack quite a punch. What's in them?
500 grams of Crovex water gel, baby.
I'm out.
Don't sweat it. Steer back on over to the van. I'll rearm you.
Fuck, how did you change the freaking camera?
Understood.
There you are. Set it down where you started, over by those white containers.
Question. How can I see if I've gotten all the mines?
Your drone's got a dedicated sensor. Get close enough, and it'll detect any nearby explosives. How's it going?
Getting there. Gonna need another resupply.
No problem, Max. Same deal.
Man, why I cannot do this remotely?
All right, almost done.
It exploded directly on top.
Seriously? Nathaniel Francis McDade, how big is this minefield?
Only my mom calls me Francis, Andy.
Yeah, sure thing, Franny Mac. Anyway, you know the drill. Send it back for resupply.
And I also don't like it, but you know, what can you do? At least I'm getting practice with drones.
All right, that's it. What the fuck was that?
Relax, relax. It sounds like it came from the other side of town. You want me to take a look?
No, stay put. I'll go.
Yeah, and I'll go for the flashbangs.
Those guys at the outpost, the ones murdered by the guerrillas, they never even got a shot off.
How come?
Not sure. I mean, it all happened at night. Big thunderstorm, heavy rain. But there are rumors. Some even claim the attackers were wearing army uniforms.
I see. That would constitute a war crime, no? An act of perfidy?
Yeah, but after the executions, in for a dime, in for a dollar. I got a UXO here dug right into the wall.
Shit.
You know, Alexis' house, his workshop, it was like something from another time.
I'm not quite sure I follow.
Pounding of a hammer, back and forth of a wood saw, I don't know. Things felt simpler back then, is all. Far cry from what was to come. I remember there used to be a cafe here once. Local place. Actually, that's an understatement. I must have picked up more local curse words there than the entire rest of my time out here put together.
It sounds like quite an institution. Did it shut down when the fighting started?
Eventually. The guy who ran it, he didn't have much love for the government. I remember he used to charge the local soldiers double, called it a tourist tax. And one night he was bundled off in the back of a truck. Never saw that guy again. It's strange to think kids once played here.
I assume the town was evacuated at some point.
Oh yeah, early on. Many folk left as soon as the ceasefire started to fall apart. Others fled when all those leaflets came. Just a handful of people were here for the end. You know, when I joined IDAP, we were a pretty small outfit.
And how many countries is IDAP active in today?
Now, we're pretty widespread, 50 in the global south alone. CCB, DRR, you name it, we provide aid and development for more than 60 million each year.
If you don't mind me saying, Nathan, you sound... I don't know exactly.
Look, it's great we can help so many now, just back in the day, it wasn't so much politics, you know?
Those earthquakes you mentioned, weren't there some fairly bad ones not so long ago?
Nothing too major. The worst came during NATO's invasion, actually. Solid 4s and 5s on the Richter scale. The soil out here is pretty loose, though. Folks were worried about gas lines getting damaged. Turns out they were right to be. Yeah, collapsed building, UXO, I bet. Skittish things at the best of times.
Disturbed by your demining activity?
Could be. That's what makes them so damn dangerous. You never know if they're gonna stay unexploded.
The army's offensive against the town. It seems like, well, a disaster, to be honest.
Yeah, they never imagined the guerrillas would put up a fight, that's for sure. The mines on the road caught them off guard. Immobilized their armor. They took heavy casualties from mortar and MG emplacements, too. Some even blamed the Army command. Said they gifted the enemy time to organize.
The leaflets.
Right. It was a tough call. Complying with the laws of war, it's got a price. Hello. How'd you get here?
Another find.
Laser designator. Kind of thing special forces would use to call in an airstrike.
Oh, interesting. Actually, the airstrike on the town, the details of that are fuzzy. Do you happen to remember it well? The airstrike, I mean.
Yeah. October 13th. Cluster bomb. Town was shook up pretty bad. The army just wasn't able to capture the place. And Colonel Arcanteros, he did not tolerate failure. So he asked foreign powers to intervene. Come in, break the guerrillas' resolve.
Right. And the evidence in the commission report, doesn't it point to CSAT?
Yeah. But truth can be the first casualty of war.
Sure, but didn't somebody witness them in action?
From a distance, yeah. Though he wasn't exactly what you'd call reliable. Guy was a goat herd. Barely spoke any English.
That was not in the report I read.
It never is. Still, he did say they came down by parachute, and that at least was corroborated by multiple sources.
درگیری سلاح ایسا 600 متر غرب
These operatives, then? They moved in on the castle?
Yep. Must have been a fire team at least.
The man who claimed to have seen all of this, is there anything else you can tell me about him?
Not much. Like I say, simple goat herd. Lived alone. Small stone shed just north of the castle.
گوشش میدم برو
Okay, let's get back to CSAT. What were they doing there, on Altis, at this time?
They were an embedded training team, ETT. Officially, they were just there to oversee counterinsurgency operations.
And unofficially?
Anyone's guess. A lot of different rumors. Black sites, car bombs, false flags.
درگیری سرباز 75 متر جلوتر درگیری مسلسلچی 100 متر جلوتر درگیری سرباز 75 متر در جلو
هدفگیری شد درگیری مرد 75 متر در جلو درگیری مسلسلچی منو پوشش بده
The guerrillas were taken out, one by one.
آزادی که درگیر شی
And things kicked off. There was a short burst of panic radio chatter.
سلاح‌ها آماده
زدمش من پوشش میدم برو
Yeah, I was never good at stuff.
تفنگدار سرباز
Then, silence. If we're to believe the goat herd, they then set up a position on the battlements, moved to a vantage point on the castle's outer wall.
Okay, according to my notes, several targets were identified from afar, presumably by these special forces at the castle. Once they had a handle on what was what, they called it in. A jet approached from the east and dropped a single bomb. The positions in the town were then destroyed, but the church and IDAP's camps were left untouched. Does that match up with events as they were given to you?
Yeah, though to manage a guided... 3 armed off-roads were destroyed in the attack.
دشمن اونجاست هدف ناشناس نیم کیلومتر سمت 210 افسر نیم کیلومتر جنوب غرب دشمن داره میاد مسلسل چی نیم کیلومتر جنوب
Barricade
غرب
was damaged, but it held together. Atop of the water tower, the guerrillas had a sniper's nest. The house/fortress where Alexis lived was a key target.
Did IDAP have any workers operating outside the camp?
One of our doctors. He'd gone out with medical supplies despite the fighting. A machine gunner had climbed up onto one of the rooftops.
چیزی میبینم هدف ناشناس نیم کیلومتر سمت 210 درخواست حمله هوایی به موقعیت فرستاده شد تمام
Copy that. Strike aircraft on the way. Out.
Do you know why the government signed off on such a heavy-handed response? A cluster bomb? That's rather indiscriminate. Even if it was laser-guided.
Sure, I mean, with a designator, you just switch it on, aim it at, well, whatever. The idea is that you remain in place, keep the laser on target. But even if it's done perfectly, a lot of uncontrolled variables.
شلیک نکنید!
If they'd missed their targets, that would have been a catastrophe. That simply could not happen.
I mean, what? What the fuck was I supposed to do? What? Identify all targets. I mean, what the fuck?
Okay, according to my notes, several targets were identified from afar, presumably by these special forces at the castle. Once they had a handle on what was what, they called it in. A jet approached from the east and dropped a single...
Barricade was damaged, but it held together.
Does that match up with events as they were given to...
The house/fortress where Alexis lived. Atop of the water tower, the guerrilla... A machine gunner had... 3 armed off-roads were destroyed in the attack.
Did IDAP have any workers operating outside the camp?
Mm-hmm.
So, IDAP's camp, there weren't any injuries?
No. A miracle, really. Although if we hadn't relocated to the church when we did, it would have been a different story.
I mean, anything fucking else?
There was a beautiful oak tree here, over 300 years old. It had survived countless conflicts.
Okay, I'm getting kinda stupefied. Is that the word? Like, for fuck's sake, is there any other target that I missed? I mean, I don't see one.
This doctor, did he return to the church in time, or...
He was heading back there.
mean, really, have I missed something? Like, for hell. Why the hell is there not a...
درخواست حمله هوایی به موقعیت فرستاده شد. تمام.
Copy that. Strike aircraft on the way. Out.
Do you know why the government signed off on such a heavy-handed response? A cluster bomb? That's rather indiscriminate. Even if it was laser-guided.
Sure, I mean, with a designator, you just switch it on, aim it at, well, whatever. The idea is that you remain in place, keep the laser on target. But even if it's done perfectly, a lot of uncontrolled variables. By all accounts, the town just seemed to explode. Buildings were burning for days.
And this spotter, he just disappeared?
Yeah, last seen leaving the castle, heading west.
Let's talk about IDAP's doctor. You said he was on his way to the church. Did he make it there?
He did. It's even possible they delayed the airstrike, else it was one amazing coincidence.
عقب نشینی.
فهمیدم. به شکلی پوشش میدم.
I can certainly say the devastation was severe. Dozens killed, combatants and non-combatants alike. The guerrillas, they were in total disarray. Many fled, retreating to the mountains. And IDAP, we did what we could, but there were so many wounded. So many we'd never be able to identify.
Nathan?
No, I'm still here. I just need to grab something real quick. This'll only take a sec.
آماده باش.
I understand that CSAT denied any involvement.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe with good reason.
Oh?
Look, I don't know. There were shell casings found at the castle. NATO mil-spec.
Okay, so then either they were supplying the guerrillas or...
Or they were there. Maybe trying to win back the government support. Maybe...
What?
I don't know.
That's all very fucking clever. Yep. Resuming recording soon enough.